taken by Kankoyo lawmaker Honorable Heartson Mabeta as we continue discussing Bill 7, the proposals, and whether this bill is necessary before the elections of 2026. Honorable, always a pleasure. Welcome back to Diamond Live.
Wow, Andrew, good evening. It's always, this is my second home, I think. In my last 4 years, I've featured here more than any other station. I'm sure when we started, it was a bit rough.
Yeah.
You know how you guys are, you're too smart, and I think you've taught me how to be smarter than you. So it's my sincere hope that today we'll be able to shake hands again after this this interview. Good evening, Cheswa.
Good evening, Honorable. It's good that you put it that way, and we hope to interact with you further.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a good conversation. Just 30 minutes will be enough.
30 minutes will be the compliments of the season.
Same to you.
Let's quickly begin, Honorable. This debate has divided the country. There are those that are for Bill 7 and there are those that are against Bill 7. It appears as if though the UPND and the executive arm of government does not want to listen when you hear stakeholders like LAS, when you hear stakeholders like Chapter 1 Foundation and others. It seems like government is adamant on ensuring that this constitution is amended before the 2026 general elections. A lot of allegations have been raised against this process. Others are of the considered view that you want to amend this constitution because it has a political advantage for the UPND going into the next election. Let's begin off from there. What are you generally making of these critiques that are coming your way around Bill 7 as a member of the UPND in Parliament?
Yeah, first of all, Andrew, we need to accept and realize that in politics, we have a social contract. When we go to engage the voters, we sign an official social contract, which is a manifesto, and the voters buy in that manifesto to give us a mandate to implement the manifesto in the first 5 years. We may not implement everything, but they'll be able to judge our motive or intention on how we are committed to implementing the manifesto. In 2019, the UPND as a party came up with a 10-point plan on the 10 things which were critical to look around and focus on when are given an opportunity to serve the people. So as an organization, we had an agenda and the aim which a roadmap on how we are going to govern this country. So among the 10-point plans, there is point number 7, which looks at governance issues. And in that point number 7, it talks about amendments to the Constitution, which we thought as an organization we are going to implement to ensure that it aligns this, we align our manifesto properly and be able to deliver the deliverables. So when the Zambians were going to vote based on the 10-point plans which we had given them, or we had sought to them when they bought in the idea, there was that commitment that we are going to do this constitutional amendment within the first 5 years, which we are given by the Zambian people. So it's part of the social contracts which we signed. So to those organizations or individuals who may not be supporting what we are doing, they never even supported, they never voted for us in 2021 because they never believed in our 10-point plan. So obligation, we are accountable, we are answerable to the people who believed in our 10-point plan, and they gave us the opportunity to come and implement what we promised them before we came into government. So obvious democrats, not everyone agrees. Each political party has got its own manifesto. The reason why we don't have 100%, we didn't get 100% of the votes, because the other 40% which didn't agree with us. So it's normal when you hear that there are some section, or I can say, people who don't believe, because from the word go, they never believed in the processes we are going to implement. So this constitutional amendment is part of the 10-point plan, which we had sought to the Zambian people, and 2.8 out of the 7 million registered voters, they agreed with us to say we are going to give you the mandate to implement your manifesto.
Was it deliberate or intentional for you as lawmakers of the UPND to wait until 2025 to amend the constitution? Was it deliberate, was it intentional, or it was just an afterthought?
No. It was part of the long process of the reforms which we have been carrying. I think the first 5 years of the UPND have been basically to do with reforms in the education sector, reforms in the management sector, reforms in the agriculture sector, reforms to align the programs we're implementing to what we had committed ourselves to do in the 10-point plan. So even the constitutional reform, it's part of the reforms which have been done in other sectors of the economy. Remember, this is just on the legal side of it. Yeah. So it's not the only reforms which have carried. I've carried so many reforms. Go into the road sector. The PP was introduced because of the size of our debt and the source of availability. So to do certain roads, we had to come up with a PP model to raise more money to do the roads without committing the country to those borrowing. So this is just part of the reforms which have been carrying other sectors of the economy. It's not something which should scare the Zambians. It's nothing new. I've done a lot of reforms in the aviation industry, in the tourism sector. All the sectors have had the share of the reform. So this is just part of the reform.
A major constitutional changes, fundamentally that affect our constitution. And so I think that is why the concern is, people are not concerned largely about the reforms that you've been undertaking because, well, not to say that minor reforms, but these that you're undertaking now are major reforms that need the public to have their input in. And that's why I asked that question, Honorable, that look, those that are criticizing you say that, look, it's too short to an election for you to change the constitution. Why don't you wait for the next election cycle so that you build enough consensus before proceeding to amend this constitution?
Okay, let's look at one of the 13 proposals which have been proposed, that is to delimitate the constituencies. It's a constitutional mandate that every 10 years, the ECZ has to go back and review, check the growth in populations and the changes in dynamics of our citizens. So every 10 years, in 2016, this was done. I think we had 5 constituencies which were added. In 2025, we are marking another 10 years of changing the mean of ECZ reviewing and providing guidance on which constituencies have to be delimitated. And the same constitution provides that the new constituencies which are added, they only become effective upon dissolution of parliament. When parliament is dissolved, then those constituencies which have been identified for delimitation, they kick in and they become active. So if we don't do the delimitation now, or we don't change the constitution now to allow for the delimitation, it means we'll be failing to meet that obligation of changing of delimitation. We'll only be able to, even if we have the next constitutional amendment in 2026 or 2027, the delimitated constituents will only take effective on the next dissolving of parliament, which will be the next dissolution of parliament, which will be in 2031. So we'll be talking of 20 years without delimitation. While the Constitution provides that every 10 years, we're supposed to review and add more constituencies to meet the needs of the people. So if we don't implement this now, that will be another constitutional crisis.
Does the Constitution really say that we need to increase the constituencies? Because Article 58 is very clear here, Honorable, of the Constitution. Which means perhaps I could read it so that you explain to the people what you mean. Yeah. The Constitution says in Article 58, I'll start from the top. Zambia shall be divided into constituencies and wards for purposes of elections to the National Assembly and councils respectively. Part 2 says the number of constituencies shall be equal to the number of seats of elected members of the National Assembly. The number of wards in a district shall be prescribed. The Electoral Commission shall determine the names and boundaries of constituencies and wards. The Electoral Commission shall, at intervals not more than 10 years, review the names and boundaries of constituencies. The names and details of the boundaries of the constituencies and wards shall be published in the Gazette and shall come into effect on the next dissolution of Parliament. Any person may apply to the Constitution Court for review of decision of the Electoral Commission made under this article. The Electoral Commission shall, in delimiting the boundaries and constituencies, take into account the history, diversity, and cohesiveness of the constituency or ward, have the regard to population density trends and projections, ensure that the number of inhabitants in each constituency or wards is reasonable, taking into account the means of communication and geographical features, ensure that constituencies and wards are wholly within the districts. Where does it say we need to increase to delimitate? What is delimitation here? Because what I'm getting here is that the Electoral Commission of Zambia will review the boundaries the boundaries of constituencies and wards, does it say increase?
At every interval of 10 years, not so. So every 10 years, ECZ has been given the mandate to review
the names.
The names and to review the names and the sizes of the constituency, depending on the changes in population. And that was done in 2019. There's a report which was done in 2019 to effect that. So it's a constitutional mandate for ECZ that every 10 years, our population grows at an average of 3.4% per 10 years. So when you do your numbers, you find that every 10 years, our population is growing. In 2012, we are only 12 million. This is 2025, we are close to 21 million. So our population is growing. The needs of the people are growing. The needs of, the services the government needs to give to the people is growing. So we have passed in 2016, 5 constituencies were added. And those were done in January when the constitution was signed in the Heroes Stadium. 5 constituencies were added. Now it's past 10 years. We are going to the next cycle of 10 years. And this did the report, they reviewed, and they made the recommendation to add constituencies. However, it couldn't be done in 2019 or 2021 because it was not yet 10 years when the last review was done. But now we're in the next 10 years, which has to be done. So if this is not done now, it means it can only be done in 2031 when it will be the next dissolution of parliament. Because remember, the clause clearly says that the added constituencies only become effective on the next dissolution of parliament.
Well, and just on that point, what is the interest for delimitation as member of parliament? How do you look at how delimitation will help your constituency?
Obviously, it's service delivery. We have constituencies which are over 250 kilometers in terms of radius. Constituencies like Katombora, Lufwanyama. If you've been on the Copper Belt, Lufwanyama is like a province on its own. Constituencies like Mwinulunga. These are huge constituencies. Senanga, whereby even the MP is so difficult for him to be able to visit all the wards in the 5 years. They're so huge that the service delivery, the interaction between the elected official and the communities is so wide because the constituencies are so huge. Some constituencies like Kanyama, it's going to close to 200,000 registered voters. You know, look at that huge numbers. As an MP in that constituency, how do you manage to interact and ensure that you're able to get views from the community and be able to participate in the development? There are some clauses which are being proposed here. We are just talking about one clause. The next clause I think which we want to look at is also on the additional members of parliament through being nominated. Okay, there are two proposals in this bill. There's the first one which has been the traditional 8 members of parliament nominated by the president. Then the other one is those members of parliament will be the women, the youths, and the disabled who come through the proportional vote.
But just before we can get, we're going to go through the proposals. Let's stick to delimitation for now. The accusation also that has come through is that the biggest reason for why you want Bill 7 to pass through is Bill 7. I mean, is delimitation. Prominent historian Dr. Seshua argues that most of the sitting cabinet ministers, even members of parliament today, have become unpopular because there are some, there's candidates within these constituencies that have been campaigning and are popular. And so you risk that if you don't adopt, those that have been popular, then they'll go independent and they'll win. And so the only way to accommodate your sitting ministers that have become unpopular, according to Seshua, is by ensuring that, you divide constituencies of cabinet ministers, mainly of cabinet ministers, so that you could accommodate those that are popular. These are the arguments that are coming in, and I'm sure you've seen this argument from from Seshua. Is this a correct position of why you're delimitating?
Well, Andrew, I mean, every political party, their main purpose when they go into an election is to win the presidency. Okay. UPND was in opposition for 23 years. In those 23 years, since 2001, we've always had MPs in parliament, but we never formed government. You only form government when the presidency wins. We only came into government when President Hakainde Hichilema gained the votes which allowed him to be in State House. So if you are going to focus on dividing constituencies for the purpose of accommodating MPs, and that may affect, it doesn't have an impact on the presidents. It doesn't change the ball game. Government is about the presidents and not the number of MPs. So if you are going to go to Monza because Uncle Jack Mwimbo has been there for more than 25 years, now it's going up above 25 years, and want to create space, if Monza has got 25,000 or 50,000 registered voters, you create 2 constituencies. It doesn't change the total number of votes the president is going to get.
The analogy here...
practically, it doesn't change anything on the president.
The analogy here is that even this addition of this constituents, of the number of constituencies through delimitation, others have explained it in this manner. But that, look, the UPND wants to, delimitate in areas where they're strong.
Okay.
That will guarantee them members of parliament. Now, this is so dangerous for a democracy, because if we have a situation where we have the majority of members of parliament coming from a ruling party, then any law can pass that, you propose to the House. If you propose today that we want the presidential term limit to be unlimited, it will pass because you've got the 2/3 majority. This is a fear by other people that delimitation, yes, is good, and it's prescribed for in Article 58 of the Constitution, but you politicians are selfish. You want to divide constituencies where you are strong so that you have the majority of members of parliament in the House. Equally, this was the debate you had in 2019, 2020 to 2021 when Patriotic Front was introducing Bill 10. You had the same argument that the main reason why the PF want Bill 10 to pass is because of delimitation. They want to ensure that only PF strongholds are divided so that they've got the majority of their members of parliament in the House. These are the concerns of your critics. What do you have to say?
Yes, so Andrew, just like I've said, what forms government is the presidents and not the number of MPs you have in parliament. You may have the majority members of parliament, members of, I think there's a time when Mwanawasa had the, MMD had very low numbers in terms of being in parliament. But what made Mwanawasa form government, even when he got only 28% of the vote, is the presidents. So even if you have majority in parliament, as long as on the presidents you don't get the ultimate or the majority votes of the political party, you haven't gained anything. So governance is acquired through winning the presidents and not having majority members in parliament. So parliament is secondary when it comes to an election. UPND was in opposition for 23 years, my brother. We had MPs every cycle of an election, but you didn't get the majority.
You don't think you're underplaying, this reasoning? Because if UPND, for example, will be the majority next year because of the limitation, the president Hakainde Hichilema loses the elections. At will, you can decide to impeach the president.
Through the 2/3 majority.
Through the 2/3 majority.
Andrew, if there's one thing which every politician does, whenever they get
you can decide not to pass the budget.
No. What makes it interesting in politics, Andrew? When you win the presidency, you get the power. When you get the power, it happened before Mwanawasa. The next thing what the political party in government does is start poaching MPs. We've seen this happen before. So you cannot, as an organization going to politics, you cannot be so careless to start focusing on having numbers in parliament before securing the presidents. Zambian politics is about having the presidents first. Once you have the president has got all the influences, even to convert those who didn't support him. This has happened before. We've seen even under Mwasata. We've seen even under Rupia Banda. It's been a trend which has been happening. So those who are trying to focus and change shift the ball game, bringing in illusion that you want to control parliament before you can secure the presidents. It doesn't add any, they're misguided. Zambian politics are about securing the presidents first. Once the president in State House, there's so much you can do to change the narrative. You cannot, it's almost impossible even to impeach the president in Zambia, because once the president in State House, he has the influence to convert and change those MPs who didn't support or belong to other political parties. Not something new. So this delimitation has nothing to do with controlling parliament. It's a constituency requirement.
Why did the UPND argue in this very fashion that the reason for why the PF wants Bill 10 was because of delimitation and want to increase their members in parliament through dividing constituencies where the PF are strong?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to reasons why the Bill 10 wasn't voted for, Andrew, I want to be very honest with you. I wasn't in parliament at that time. I've tried to engage the people who were there at that time to clearly give me one reason why the Bill 10 was bad. I keep on not getting satisfaction from the reasons they give me. Just like now, the people who are against Bill 7, when you ask them to say, why are you against Bill 7? They're failing to reason with me. So sometimes I think we have these political fights for the purpose of gaining political momentum without really being honest and trying to look at issues as they are. Just like I'm explaining now. Why would you want to focus much on what's going to happen in Parliament, but when we know that the government is formed by the presidents and not through Parliament? You only get into a political party only forms government when they win the presidential vote and not winning through Parliament. So let's focus on what is really the reality of the reality of the things we're talking about. If we focus on distractors, they'll twist us and trying to throw us to think that governance is won through Parliament. No, in Zambia, it's different from the South African system where the party with the majority sits in Parliament forms government. Here it's the president who forms government. Parliament follows.
Would it make sense to you that if we take a look at the delimitation report and we find rural constituencies being delimited? I ask that reason for one simple reason, because if you look at this article in this constitution, the Article 58, that you must take into account obviously geographical location as well as population. Now, most of the densely populated areas are within the Copper Belt and in Lusaka. You find that the population of Munali alone is equal to 2 constituencies in the rural parts. Would it make sense to you if the rural parts are the ones that are divided as opposed to areas where we have so many people?
It's also to look at service deliveries, development. You're talking about a constituency which has a radius of 250 kilometers. Just to grade the one road at 1,300,000 kwacha per kilometer, in one constituency, you need to spend over 300,000 kwacha because of the radius of that constituencies. 300,000 kwacha, 300 million kwacha, sorry. One grading a road, an all-weather road, sometimes it would cost you as high as 1.3, depending on the terrain. 1,300,000 kwacha when you go to Western Province because of the way the terrain is. So just to grade that road, even one CDF cannot be enough because you need to spend 1.3 times 250 kilometers. That is almost 300 million kwacha. That's to grade one road, but your CDF with 40 million kwacha. So you can see how much money you need to pump in such a constituency to develop it. But you look at Munari, yes, it's the issues of distance. Most of the roads, the clinics, the schools, they're in place. But there are constituencies which are in the rural areas, but they're underdeveloped because of how vast they are.
Are we delimitating because of CDF, or we're delimitating because of what is prescribed for in the constitution?
No, I was just giving an example of resources available to develop. I was just giving an example because CDF is one of the resources which is being given to the communities, which is close to the communities. Obviously, the other government intervention which are done, we have got World Bank funded projects. I'm just giving an example of something which is close.
Why does the UPND insist that development must happen? We need to take development to the rural parts of this country, and that's why we need to delimitate. What reasoning is that?
No. The UPND is not deciding where to delimitate. The UPND is just meeting the constitutional requirement to allow ECZ to increase the number of seats in Parliament.
To review
because currently the constitution
to increase.
The constitution, yes, they can decide. The constitution has locked that number of constituencies.
Yes.
It clearly states that the 2026 constitution states that there will be 156. 156 elected MPs in Parliament. It clearly states. Yes. So for ECZ to be able to implement the 2019 report, where they made the recommendation to increase the number of seats in Parliament, so the number of constituencies, you have to open that clause in the Constitution. Without opening it, ECZ cannot implement that report they did in 2019. Remember, this is 6 years. The report was done. By 2019, this should have been done, but it wasn't done. So now we are 6 years behind him in the implementation of this recommendation by ECZ. They were tied up. Previously, before the 2016 Constitution, there was no clause in the Constitution which was locking the number of constituencies in Parliament. But this was done maybe because of that time, politicians didn't trust each other. Like we are saying, they were scared to say a president that then would just wake up and divide give ECZ to divide the number of constituents to favor his political ambition. So they decided to lock it, which was maybe could have been wise that time when they did that. The reason why they did it. So this amendment is just allowing ECZ to come up with to increase the number of constituencies from 156 to 217. To allow ECZ to implement the 2019 report. There's a report which was already done.
Yes.
And this ECZ has just been sitting on the fence waiting for Parliament to open that clause so that they can increase the number of elected constituencies from 156 to 2011, yes. So this is just a constitutional requirement. It's not UPND. It is ECZ who did the report, but they were not allowed to increase the number of constituencies. The report is already there. It was a professional report. Remember, in 2019, the UPND wasn't in government. There was PF. So it's a report which we are implementing based on continuity. You know, government come and go, but, I mean, political parties come and go, but government continues. So this should have been done in 2019.
I mean, yes, you say it's a constitutional requirement. Shouldn't you be worried that majority feel that because there's an election, there's panic from government to move in and amend the constitution? Why do you think there is an attachment to the elections with the constitution if it's really not political? Why is there this attachment to the time frame and the general elections?
I don't understand. In 2015, the constitution was changed. We went through this process, and the constitution was changed in January 2016 when we were about to vote. We were in December. We were not even in January when PF changed the constitution. But there was not this panic. So I don't know, there's just fear of unknown. Maybe it is acceptance of defeat, you know, where you want to even start using the number of constituencies to determine who's going to be the next president. President is a different ballgame. If you want to win and you want to form government, you have to win the presidents. It has nothing to do with the number of seats you win. So those who are scared, maybe, who are trying to throw in the towel, it's too early to start complaining. 2016 is coming where we are going to campaign heavily to ensure that President Hakainde Hichilema retains the seat in Parliament. That's when we're going to stay in government. Our focus for now is, through our 23 years of being in opposition, we learned it the hard way. We tried to increase the number of MPs in Parliament. Every election we're increasing the number, but we're never forming government. But now we know that the most important vote which forms government is the presidents. And when you look at all this, in the proposals, the only proposal which has given power to the president is the one which is talking about increasing the number of nominated members of Parliament from 8 to 10. Only 2 seats. Only 2 seats. But is that proposing to increase the number of constituencies from 156 to 211. What number is that? The president is only being given 2 seats. But when you look at the number which ECZ is proposing, it's huge. So the right focus I want to maybe to give to the opposition, more especially my friends in the PF, they need to look at organizing themselves and start having a presidential candidate who they are going to market. They're running out of time. We're in December already, Andrew. By the time after next week, we'll be having the Christmas weekend. The other weekend, it will be New Year's weekend. By the time they wake up, we'll be in February because they'll still be getting shocked from how the political landscape is changing. They're running out of time. Let them focus on what will win their presidents. I mean, what will make them win an election. Winning an election is through the presidents and not the number of seats you want to gain in Parliament. From our experience, I'm just giving them an advice as a friend, you know, as a politician who also cares about the growth of the opposition. So they are shooting in the wrong direction. Their energy is misguided. Let them focus on what will make them win the government, the governance, which is the presidents. Today, the PF doesn't have a president. They have 3 political parties within PF. There's PF1 under Chavinga. There's PF2 under...
Before we deviate,
there's PF3.
You took a big part of the conversation. The phone lines are now open. You can come through and give us your contributions and questions regarding the topics that we have on the table tonight, but also you can interact with us through our social media platform. We are streaming this program live on Facebook at Diamond TV Online. The other debate, and I want you to get your thoughts on this, because tomorrow, I don't know if you're part of the team that is going to the Constitutional Court, because the Constitutional Court tomorrow is going to render judgment whether Bill 7 is contemptuous before Parliament, or it's rightfully, or it's rightfully before Parliament. Others argue that what you're debating at the moment, what is in Parliament, is an unconstitutional bill. And they're arguing based off the Munia Zulu and Celestine Mkandila case that ruled that the process leading to Bill 7 went against the spirit of the Constitution, and the Constitutional Court did stipulate those very specific articles. There are more than 6 articles that the Constitutional Court pointed to. So, what do you make of this debate that this bill is unconstitutional?
Well, I don't understand what would make this. First of all, why would you be called to go and appear before a judge or court for executing my duties, which I was rightly given by the voters in 2021? We are given, Parliament has got 3 roles. The first one is to represent. I represent my people in Kankoyo, in Parliament. Number 2 is to legislate. Registration is making laws, and this is what we are doing. Number 3 is to approve, to provide checks and balance. Remember, the budget is also part of the laws we make. A budget is a law also. Yes. So if I'm going to be sued for making a budget in Parliament, then I don't understand the rationale behind that. Then number 4, we are given immunity on whatever we do inside Parliament. Remember, there's a difference between being on the floor of the House and just being in the building and premises of Parliament. There's a huge difference. I can commit a crime out within the premises of Parliament. I'll be liable and I'll be accountable. But when I'm on the floor of the House, we are debating Bill 7 on the floor of the House. I've got immunity. And this is what the Zambian people gave us through the Constitution we are debating. So going to court because of the functions I'm doing on the floor of the House, where I've got immunity, is something strange for me. And I don't think I'll be part of the people who are going to go to court tomorrow, because I haven't even been saved of any, someone, no. So otherwise, whoever is trying to argue that this is an constitutional process, I'd want to learn from them. Because all the bill, this is not the only bill we have tabled. From the time UPND came in government, we have approved over 120 bills. And this is just one of the bills which we have done. So maybe this bill is so contentious because of... then, like I said, they just
hold your thought there on a caller. Yeah. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Wakalurushi.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. We can hear you. Hello, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, everybody there.
Good evening, Mr. Bwaria.
Yes. He's saying if they increase the number of constituencies, then the development will be there. They have failed to bring development to the small constituencies which we have at the moment. But how are they going to develop with the more constituencies if they increase the more constituencies? And lastly, they want to increase the term of the presidency from 5 years to 7 years. Are they going to develop in 7 years? They have failed to develop in 5 years. Thank you very much.
Well, Walia, just before you leave, Mr. Walia.
Yes, come on, I'm there.
Okay. If I don't know if you have got the Bill 7 with you there, but would you point to exactly where it says that the bill is proposing that the term of office must be increased from 5 to 7?
From 5 years to 7 years.
Which part of the bill says that?
So on the media, there are people that are saying they want to increase from 5 years to 7 years.
No, it's not true. It's not true. That's not part of what is proposed in Bill 7. But I'm sure Honourable is going to respond to the first question that you asked. Honourable, Mr. Wale there from Kalalushi says that you failed to develop constituencies even with increased CDF. Why do you want to create more constituencies when you failed with money that has been given to you?
Well, Andrew, as you have heard, I think Mr. Wale is speaking from a well uninformed decision, point of view, whereby when you ask him to say, if you looked at the 13 proposals in the bill, he says someone on the media said. So he's speaking from I can say, from a point of influence, maybe hasn't done his part well. Let him take time. There are only 13 clauses being proposed. And I want to be very candid and say that among the 13 clauses which are being proposed, today the technical committee submitted that they would want, the people of Zambia have spoken that they would want the by-elections to continue. So I'm sure that's something, that's an amendment we all gladly want to go and see that in that bill of 13, we drop one that is being of by-election should continue. However, for me, I would have supported that proposal to end the by-elections. Why am I supporting? Why would I have supported? Because, Andrew, that clause was also going to protect with the politicians from being targets of seats. When you have a government in power which has a few seats like you had alluded to, then the government wants to increase the number of seats by winning the by-election at all costs. Sometimes politicians will end up going to jail or being given criminal conviction for the purpose of losing a seat so that the party in power can come and grab your seat. So
is that what the UPND is doing at the moment?
No, I'm just saying about why the ending of by-election, I could have supported it. Yeah, I'm speaking as an endangered species who's a politician right now, okay? So that proposal to end by-election could have ensured that politicians who have lost their seat because they were being given criminal offenses for the purpose of just to make them lose their seat so that the party in power can grab their seat from them. That could have ended. Why? Because that proposal was proposing that if I lose the seat through going to jail, the seat belongs to the party. The party was going to nominate someone to replace me. That way, when you have politicians who are heartless, who would want to send someone to jail for the purpose of winning a seat, would not do it because they will know that even if we send Mabeta to jail, the seat in Kankoyo belongs to UPND.
That example is hypothetical that you're giving because it has never happened, or it has happened before in Zambia?
No, I'm just looking at the other side of that proposal of ending by-elections, how it could have ensured that for future politicians, they are not endangered in become victims of going to jail because the party in power wants to win your seat. But however, the people of Zambia have rejected that proposal and it's going to be dropped. So we're going to have 12 clauses in the constitution. In the proposed bill.
Just hold your thought. We have another call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I hope you're doing well this night.
Yes, I've been on hold for too long.
I'm so sorry for that. So sorry for that.
Honorable, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Musole. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Honorable.
Yes.
Me, I'm speaking to direct.
Oh, yeah.
Not through my panelist there, no? But I'm speaking through direct. You have got a job to do.
Yeah.
The only thing which I've seen in you, our people in government, including you as honorable and MP, you are not doing more to sensitize people, to come the way you have come on that television, to educate us and to make people understand. You know, your colleagues, these so-called opposition parties, they are failing and they are destroying you and they are failing us, Zambian people, because there is a lot of lies and a lot of, certain comments which are not even genuine. It's not allowable, even for me, maybe to talk about the previous call. I'm just giving it an example from what my dear brother asked him there, the moderator, to say, can you tell us that clause where it says the president is going to be extended 7 years? Have you seen what the problem is?
Yeah.
And have you heard what is he answering? So please, you people, can you do more to sensitize people? This bill is a very good bill because it's always talking about us people.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. I thought maybe I should go in that way.
No, thank you.
I was going to add on sensitization.
Free political advice.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Andrew. The reason I'm here today, I think I called you yesterday. I took it upon myself to walk around Lusaka on Friday and Saturday just to engage the public and just help understand how much they know about Bill 7. Like he has said, Mr. Musole has said, the opposition have done they have a good job on their side because the role of opposition, Andrew, is to make people doubt what the government is doing.
Yet you're saying there's no opposition.
Yeah, I mean, they have communicated that message. That doesn't mean that when they can't win an election, then they are not able to communicate. They have communicated. They have really painted this bill black. They have done a good job. I was shocked to find that the majority of the people was asking. They know. They mean just like the man from Karurushi had indicated. They know things which are not even in the bill. When you ask them about what is in the bill, ask them why is the government proposing to bring 20 more women, to bring 12 more youths, to bring 3 more people with disabilities.
Shouldn't that be a reason why you put more effort in sensitization and more time? That's basically what people also are saying, that we seem to have rushed the process, rushed to take it to Parliament without people fully understanding what exactly has been in this bill.
No. The lack of misunderstanding. I mean, the majority of the people misunderstanding the bill is not because they didn't have a time to know what is in the bill, but they heard the other side of the story. Because every story has got 2 sides, especially in democracy. Yeah. Every story has got 2 sides. There's those who are opposing, and there are those who are proposing. So I think us who have been proposing, we haven't done a good job to continue engaging the people for them to understand. So those who are opposing, they went far ahead of us. I think they have allowed their voice. But however, governance is always like that. Sometimes for you to appreciate the benefit of free education, it's at the time when you implement it. That's when you're going to see that you are going to have 3 million children going back to school who you couldn't have known if you didn't implement free education. So when you start implementing the clauses in the Bill 7, when we have MPs going back to the council, when we have 30 women who couldn't manage to win an election through the competitive stage, when we have youths like you, Andrew and Chas, we are very brilliant young men. You can't manage to win an election, not because you're not good enough, but because the system we use to win an election is far beyond what we can do. But when you start seeing youths, young men like you coming into parliament through being nominated by political parties based on the percentage votes they are going to get, you're going to see the beauty of having such a clause, because it's going to bring out the potential of young men like you guys. You're very brilliant young men who need to be in parliament. But if I ask you, Andrew, to come and challenge me in Kankoyo, you'll be shocked. What you're going to go through.
Why do you perceive those that are against Bill 10 as political opponents? And I'll give an example. Today there was a screaming headline in the Diggers that read, will treat Oasis Forum as political opponents. This was from State House. Why would State House treat an organization that has been highly respected and has added so much strength to our democracy over the years as a political opponent, when they are a voice of reason? They've been a voice of reason over the years. And they stood with you in 2020 when you were defeating Bill 10.
Yeah, I think this statement has come out of after that press conference where the woman, sorry, I don't know her name, the one who went.
Katebe.
Yes, when she went to State House, she had an engagement with the president. We all watched that clip. We saw them smile. The following day, she flipped and she went to urge the opposition to unite to remove UPND from government.
She didn't say that.
That's what she said. Said you need to unite.
But didn't say. Just said she's worried that they're not united.
Yeah, I mean, why should she be worried about a multi-party process of coming to form government?
Is there anything wrong with that, to advise the opposition to unite? Is there anything wrong? The UPND sees that?
It's taking side. It's like a referee. It's a referee telling the other opponent on how they should do, what they need to do to win the game. Then that referee becomes compromised. Remember, Oasis should be neutral like a referee. So
you don't think that?
So when the referee, when the referee starts telling your coach, I mean, telling the coach of the other team to say, you have got players on the bench who can do better than this. Can you make changes so that you can win this game? That referee becomes compromised.
Do you think that's fair? Because they were at State House with the president and they were advising the president what to do.
Yeah, no, not to win the election, but what is needed to be done for the purpose of giving the constitution.
Did they say you must win the election? They didn't. You're putting words in Oasis Forum's mouth.
Yeah, she said you need to unite. If you're not united, we're not going to win the next election.
Let's put things into context here. So the purpose of Madam Beauty Katebe's statement was that you need to be united so that you're fighting from a position of strength, because if you're not united, then you not fight from the position of strength, especially when you're dealing with constitutional issues. She meant it in the context of the Constitution. In fact, the political parties that went to pay a courtesy visit on Oasis Forum was on how they can unite on the Constitution, not on the elections, but on the Constitution.
I mean, Andrew, how many political parties do you have in Parliament? In that case, where the political parties don't have representation in Parliament, so that unit of uniting a Fred member uniting with PF to add numbers in Parliament, where are they going to get the numbers to win the vote when you go to vote for it? It was a political statement, and when a referee starts becoming sided, we stop looking at them as the referee, but they become an opponent. If you're turanda mubola, tuli kusepela kumana refu ove. So refu ambo kuwa compromise, kumu sepela kumu kuingi shot kato twingi.
But also, I mean, the people that have divergent views. I mean, you are the one talking about multi-party policy. You are telling us about democracy. Shouldn't it be healthy to have opposing views in a democracy like Zambia?
It is. That's why we are here, to look at the other side of the story.
You are calling these people political opponents. I mean, should civil society begin to select what they say for you to treat them as civil society, and now you claim that they are your political opponents?
Just having a divergent view is not siding with the opponent. So when they go and side with the opponent, advising them what they need to do for them to win the election or to win the battle against Bill 7, then they're taking sides. A civil society needs to be neutral. Okay? I know civil society, they do vote. It's very difficult for them because there's no neutral vote. It's very difficult to remain neutral. But when they start popping up and showing signs of siding, then we start realizing that these are not civil society. They're hiding and using the civil society to hide and take political side. So when you take political side, Andrew, you become an opponent.
I was watching an interview that DJ Shosta had with Beauty Katebe, and she said that if the UPND goes ahead to pass this law, it will cost them a vote. And you're not scared that civil society are saying that this will cost you your presidential vote if you arrogantly go ahead and pass this bill?
It's not an issue of being arrogant, and it's not an issue of winning the next election. No, it's doing the correct thing. There's a 10 years, which we should have done in 2019. ECT gave a report. We want more youths who have potential but cannot compete. I can give you an example of you two guys. I want one of you to be in Parliament because the Constitution identifies the potential and gives the rights to a political party which has got majority number of seats in Parliament, or maybe a presidential candidate who has gained. Like, let me give an example. I've got a soft spot for Honorable Hari Karaba. I think he's one politician who inspires me. But because of the harsh environment of politics, from the time we formed this political party, he has failed to have a seat in Parliament. But if he performs well, I mean, God allows him, he gets maybe even 10% of the total national votes. He's going to have 10% of 20 youths in Parliament, 20 women in Parliament, 10% of 12 youths in Parliament, 10% of the 3 people with disabilities. By giving that window, at least his political party will now be registered in Parliament, where he has failed to win an election on a competitive, to win a seat on a competitive, on a one-to-one on the ground. So what this bill is proposing is that let's give room also to other political parties to have a chance to nominate, to appoint women, or women who can add value to what we do in Parliament. Youths who can add value, like you, Andrew. You were nominated to be among the 12 youths who are going to come to Parliament. From a political party who's going to recognize your potential, you come into Parliament without going through the process you go through to become members of Parliament. We are giving you an opportunity to serve this country at a level where you couldn't have come through the normal competition which we go through. It's not easy, my brother, to win an election. It's not easy. If you want to try, come and try to stand in Kankoyo next day.
If truly honorable, your government had a heart for the young people.
Yeah.
Your government had a heart for persons living with disabilities. The Constitution empowers the president to appoint or to nominate 8 members of Parliament, from this diverse population of our people, the young people, the women, and those with disabilities. But among the appointees of the president, I don't see a young person. Well, I can see a woman. I don't see young people there. I don't see persons living with disabilities. Don't you think if you are a government that means what you're saying, you should have shown us through the actions that the president is, through the actions taken by the president through the provisions of the constitution that empowers him to do so?
Among the 8 nominated members of parliament, there is Honorable Kankoyo Mufarari. I think could be an example of the young men who have been nominated through the president's window.
What's the definition of a young person?
It depends with which side you look.
Let's look at the Zambian.
Isn't Honorable Mufarari young?
Let's look at the Zambian. let's talk about
Isn't Honorable Mufarari young? But when you look at the youths who are below 35, this is why now this constitution is proposing to give, to redefine who is a youth or who's an adult. In the bill, there is that clause which is clearly stating. Then it's also stating the seats which should be reserved for those people who have been defined by the constitution. Remember, there's a definition of who should be identified as a youth. Then there's also a proposal to reserve 12 seats for that. And then those appointments, just a bit, Andrew, so that I don't lose out the viewers. Then there's also an equal process of how you come up to divide those numbers. So those numbers will be divided based on your performance in an election. The technical committee was proposing that based on the number of votes each political party gets in, the number of seats each political party gets in parliament, I'm of the view that we need to look at the percentage of the presidential candidate in an election. Why? Because the only vote which demonstrates a national vote is the vote which is coming for the president. You have a political party, like I gave an example. Honorable Karabas failed to produce a member of parliament in parliament, but he may perform better in this election. So if he gets 10% or 5%, at least we're going to have a member of parliament who's going to be nominated by the party where Honorable Karabas is coming from. So even those political parties which haven't had the chance, which haven't found it easy to break through and win a seat through the normal competition, this bill is proposing that they should also have a voice in parliament. That way, even smaller political parties which have failed to grow, which has failed to remain relevant in Zambian politics, they'll start becoming relevant, growing, because they're going to have a voice in parliament which is going to represent their manifesto. So this bill, like Mr. Musola said, it's a bill which is looking at the needs of the people. It's not about UPND. If UPND performs better, they are going to nominate members of parliament. But if UPND doesn't perform better, other political parties perform better, we're going to have a shared plate. This is giving an opportunity for you, Andrew and Chelsea, to be nominated. You know, you're people of value, of added value to this country, your contribution, you watch your programs, but you want your voice to be in parliament. But you can't come through parliament through an election. It's so difficult for you. Very difficult.
Do you have the numbers? Maybe educate us tonight, Honourable. Do you have the numbers as UPND to pass this bill?
In parliament? Yeah, I think you have sold the idea to every meaningful Zambian, because all the clauses, apart from 2 clauses which most of the members of parliament were not happy about. The first one being the abolishment of by-election. The second one was to do with the day of filing of, the day when you resign for you to become independent, which has changed from 15th June to 15th March. So that clause, all of us, all members of parliament, agreed that it's going to disadvantage us members of parliament, because not all the time that are adopted by a political party. You'd want to continue to exercise your democratic right to compete in an election, even when the organization you belong to doesn't agree with your agenda. So that clause will be revised also, to be amended. So there are 2 clauses which are going to be amended when you come to vote for parliament. The first one is to change, to go back to the status quo of normal by-elections. The second one is the day of filing of nomination. We want Zambians to be free to associate with anyone they want at their own time. It shouldn't be a forcing matter to say if you don't declare your interest by 15 March, then you can't stand as independent. So from the 13, we have got 11 clauses, which everybody agrees, even those who are trying to pretend that they don't agree. But when it's come on the voting day on 15th December, next week, Monday, they'll vote for this bill.
Others argue that the only reason for why they are agreeable is because they received a 3 million kwacha.
It's not possible. From who?
Are members of parliament being coerced? I mean, this is information.
From who can give a 3 million tax-free? Tax-free.
But that others, what is on the ground is that you are giving members of parliament, those from the Patriotic Front, adoption certificates as a way of enticing them to vote for Bill 7. Is that true?
No, Andrew. Like I've said, there is an opportunity for them to make an independent decision.
You've not heard these allegations that you're giving them 3 million quotas and adoption certificates?
It's something we laugh at. Even today, when we're having lunch with members of parliament, I looked at one of the members who was being told that's been given 3 million, and asked him to say, Pamdara, tusunene ko kuri chimpia mkatsa kutinasa mkudo wali wafote kwa changa niko ta 3 million panondi apa lindarama para mone kadenga kwa ta 3 million shakaluvike. No one can get 3 million for free and they remain the same. That's a lot of money in this economy, Andrew. It sounds simple to those who are who are accusing the others. Okay, let them also produce even maybe 100,000 to say, don't vote for this bill. I'll give you 100,000. So
there's no exchange of money that is happening?
There is nothing, my brother. There's nothing. There's just appreciation of the clauses. Every member of parliament would want to continue to ensure that we remain in, continue serving the people for 5 years, because the current constitution says that when parliament is dissolved in May, then we cease to be members of parliament. But this bill is basically saying that we are elected for 5 years. So continue being members of parliament. Parliament will be dissolved, but to continue doing other functions as members of parliament. Remember, we are given the role of representing our people. So we'll go back to our constituents' offices and we'll continue working until August. So that will give us a 5 years mandate. So who don't want to be given an opportunity to continue serving the people for an additional 3 months before?
How is it going to work, really? And that proposal, perhaps make the people understand. So it's proposed in Bill 7 that, yes, Parliament will be dissolved in May,
yes,
but you continue exercising your duty as member of Parliament in your
constituencies, yes.
Isn't it that when Parliament is dissolved, you cease to be an MP?
The current constitution, that's what it says, but the proposal is that we need to align ourselves to the 5 years term.
Yes. I understand that. But then
yes.
So then you're going to redefine what dissolution means?
No. Dissolution is just the National Assembly which is dissolved.
Yes.
But we remain government employees working for the people. We'll continue working in our constituencies. We'll continue monitoring and evaluating CDF projects. We'll continue participating in the council programs. Remember, we are going back to the council. That's another clause maybe which people would have wanted to know. This bill is proposing that we go back to the council so that we are part and parcel of the processes of implementation and development.
Very contentious.
Yeah, it is contentious, yes.
Because many stakeholders feel that you begin to overpower what the councillors' work is supposed to be. The members of parliament will bulldoze certain processes and so on. Do you also feel the same way?
Not at all. And I mean, in fact, for me, I feel the last 4 years whereby we've been working and sitting on the fence as spectators in the council have brought a lot of disadvantage on us, our members of parliament. Many times when we go into campaigns, we promise the people of the development we want to come and see in our constituencies. But unfortunately, our powers is only reduced on a CDF table. Like we are going to have a CDF meeting on Thursday, where I'll only be able to select the priorities. I'll be told you have got 40 projects. They need 80 million to implement. However, the resource available is only 40 million. And these are the costs. So can you give us a priority of the projects which want to be implemented? Once I give them a priority, my role ends there in development. I cannot supervise the council. I cannot get any report. I cannot make a follow-up. But however, a member's parliament is blamed the most to say, I haven't brought development. When you can't take development to the people because they're not part and parcel of the implementation process. So what this bill is proposing is for us to go back to the council and become part of the implementation. So that when I'm blamed for not bringing development in Kankoyo, I'm blamed only a role I was given but I failed to execute it. Currently, I cannot fully get the blame because I'm not part of the process of implementation of project. So what this bill is proposing is taking us back to the council, and we continue working for an extra 3 months to align ourselves to the 5 years term. There are only 2 contentious clauses which I talked about, and those will be taken out. Otherwise, the 11, they mean well for the Zambian people. Well, in fact, I want even to go and propose to say this proportional representation at the National Assembly, let it also drop at local government level. Because in my ward, I've got young men, I've got women, I've got people with disabilities who have got the potential to contribute to the development of my constituency, but they don't have the capacity to win an election. Winning an election, Andrew, is not an easy thing.
You said you don't have the capacity. How exactly? You mean financially?
Financially, and the ability also to go through the I can say the verbal attacks. In politics, there's so much character assassination. Some people get hit to a point where they even lose their self-value. They start doubting themselves because of just the personal attack which we go through as politicians. So not everyone can absorb what we go through. We've learned it the hard way. Others can't manage. So we don't want to see those young men, those women who don't have the capacity to go through what we go through to win an election, to be able to contribute to the developments which are happening both at national level and at the constituency level. So these are good proposals, my brother. Those who've been doubting.
As we conclude, the voice of reason, the voice of authority, the voice of moral authority in the country, the church, is asking you, the members of parliament, to not take partisan interest, especially when you're dealing with this constitution, but take national interest. And they're asking you to vote against Bill 7. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, like I say, I opened my remarks. Before I was adopted by the UPND, I was given the 10-point plan, of which I agreed to, and I accepted to come and work and implement, be part of the team which was going to implement the program of the party. So you cannot take me away from the party. Because when I went to look for adoption, I was given the mandate which the party was looking for. It was looking for people who had the capacity to influence and implement the programs of the party. So when we promised the people that we are going to conduct constitutional reforms under point number 8, point number 7 in the 10-point plan, they agreed to implement the agenda of the party. It's like you, Andrew, are looking for a job here. You're being told this is a job description. When you get employed, this is what you're going to be doing when you're employed. When you get employed, you want to be bigger than the organization you're working for. It's being mischievous.